The final segment I wanted to talk to you about was, we talked about the parks, we talked about the film division. How do you think 2020 is going to permanently affect Disney Plus specifically? So, what's the future of Disney Plus? Like, what's this pandemic going to do for this particular platform?
Well, as I mentioned during the last segment, that Disney could not have picked a better time for them to release Disney Plus. It came out at the most perfect time. I think that if they were releasing it in the midst of COVID, who really knows if we would have even gotten The Mandalorian on time, or if, anything was going to be, even released. It may have just been all the older content, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the original content. I'm a big believer of that. But it could have delayed the streaming service big time. So I think it came at the appropriate time. And now I really think Disney is going to utilize that streaming service. And I think for them to even have a type of meeting just for Disney Plus,
Yeah.
to release everything that's coming out in 2021, that's saying something big. And I think this is just the start of, as each year goes on, like when they said, oh, by this year it'll have X amount on Disney Plus, and then by this year it'll have this amount. I think, honestly, they're not even going by those numbers. I think it's going to have even more content than what we ever anticipated. And I actually think COVID really had a lot to do with that. So I think not as a good thing, but I think as a blessing in disguise, I think it will really do justice for Disney Plus. Because I think now more than ever, any kind of content that Disney can make, it'll just have the excuse for them to say, okay, we got another piece of content. Let's put it on Disney Plus. Let's keep on adding. And the more that they do that, the more subscribers they get. The more subscribers they get, the more profit they get. And I really think that's where it's just going to keep leaning towards streaming is the way to go.
Yeah. And it kind of opens the door in a weird way. It kind of opens the door creatively, because if you think about it, like, really before, like, COVID, or really before streaming, either it was a TV show or it was a movie, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
And those two platforms had very narrow windows. When you have to find a release window for a movie. A TV show had to find a network and a time slot or what have you. But now with like Disney Plus, you don't have that restriction. Disney now has the opportunity to really to kind of take in content that maybe they wouldn't have taken in before, because they didn't have a place for it. But now they have a place for it. Maybe before they didn't have a time slot on ABC to put whatever show it was, but now they have the streaming service. They can put it on there. So I think we're going to see more content, and there's more opportunities for creatives, like directors and showrunners and what have you, to create content and have that opportunity for it to be seen, because there's a place now for it to go. The restrictions aren't really there. The shackles are off. They can do like at that investor meeting we talked about with Theme Park Wizard like 2 weeks ago. There was like 10 Star Wars shows, 10 Marvel shows. That would never be possible if they were completely reliant on ABC and Disney Channel.
Oh, absolutely. If it was really strictly through like a cable service, never. We probably would have got maybe one Star Wars show, one Marvel.
That's it.
And that would be it. That would be it. And and as you said, like when shows needed a time slot, it's almost like, if it was on Friday or Saturday nights, that was a good slot. But then when it gets moved to Wednesday at 11 p.m., it's like, that's like the sign of, this is your last season. You're on the top.
Yeah.
That with a streaming service, you don't have to worry about that. If it's good enough, if it's popular enough and people want it and it's doing good and you're gaining subscribers with it, it could just keep going. It's honestly like it's immortal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I've been really, really enjoying, I got Disney Plus at D23, my expo, when I saw you that day,
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago. I signed up for a few years, and I've gotten a lot more use out of Disney Plus than I thought I would. You know, I signed up for it thinking like I'm gonna watch Mando, I'm gonna watch all the original content, but really in reality, I've been watching a lot of the old school stuff. Like I've watched Swiss Family Robinson like 3 times. And like Parent Trap and these old school movies, you know, that I love and adore. I'm catching back. I'm refamiliarizing myself with these old classic shows and movies, and it feels great. Now these are movies that, like, if I had to watch it on DVD, I probably would have never got around to it. But it's on the streaming service. I work from home. I can pop it in. I can watch it on my breaks. I can watch it in between calls. You know, it's just it's crazy. It's great.
And that's where the psychological part comes in, because as you just said, if you're in a store and you happen to walk by it's Swiss Family Robinson, I almost said the Swiss Family Treehouse, Family Robinson, that, and you see $12.96, oh, that's a good price, but to save $12.96, am I really going to buy it? But when you're automatically paying monthly for a subscription and it's on there, you're like, why not? I have the streaming service, might as well watch it.
Yeah, well, perfect example. When I got Disney Plus, you know, I'm a huge diehard Disney person. So are you. You know, like, I mean, I obsess over this stuff, but there's stuff I don't know. You know, I had no idea of those Callaways. I had no idea that was a movie. Never heard of it before, and I saw it on Disney Plus. Like, if I would have saw this movie, Those Callaways, at Target, in the DVD aisle, I would have never have bought that movie. I probably never would have seen that movie. But because it was on Disney Plus and there's nothing to lose, I already paid for it. I can just click on it. I ended up watching it. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. That movie was fantastic. It was really, really well done. It was great. And it was because of the accessibility of Disney Plus that it gave me the opportunity to even watch it. Because I wouldn't have otherwise. I probably would have lived my entire life and never seen that movie. I never even heard of it. I never would have bought it on DVD, you know?
And that was the same way with me with Blackbeard's Ghost.
Yeah.
I thought I heard of it, but I never really paid too much attention to it. I've never seen it on DVD before, like in the stores. I've never seen the movie. And, you know, it was during our shutdown period and we were home, and that was like the best time to start binge watching everything. And we thought, how about Blackbeard's Ghost? Let's read the caption. Let's give it a try. And it is a really good, and I can't believe for how old of a movie that is, how funny it was.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's so dated, but yet you get the jokes. You understand it. But I would have never bought it. I would have never bought it in the store.
No, never. Yeah, same here. I watched it too, and I loved it. Never saw it before. Huge Disney person. I love Disney. You know, I mean, I dedicate my whole channel to Disney. Never seen Blackbeard's Ghost. Saw it on Disney Plus first time and absolutely adored it. And Dean Jones is a Disney legend. I mean, I love his work with Disney. You know, the movies he's done.
I have to say, I mean, I knew he was a Disney legend. I have watched his movies, but I think when we really started binge watching the movies, it always seemed like we went towards his films. Blackbeard Ghost, the Ugly Dachshund, the Love Bug. It's like all the movies that we started watching, it was his, and it's like, okay, is there a correlation here?
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? I know. I mean, he is really, really great. He's really great. And he's really, I think also he worked a lot with Suzanne Pleshette in a lot of these old movies, like The Ugly Dachshund. And she was great. They played off each other really beautifully. You know, I mean, they were just fantastic together. And that's another thing. Disney Plus has really given me a newfound appreciation for these Disney legends, these Disney stars, you know, because I'm seeing these people in more movies now, and I'm like, wow, this person, I can see why they're a Disney legend. They're awesome. You know, these are great movies.
Well, because, and, you know, today's, you know, kids and generation and everything, they don't know those actors. They don't know those movies. So while they're in the midst of maybe searching, oh, I'm going to watch a Star Wars movie today, or I'm going to watch something of Marvel, or I'm going to watch something on, you know, from the Disney Channel. You know, they could say, oh, what's this? You know, this is an interesting type of movie. Or as a family, let's watch this. And it introduces them to the wide range of what Disney is all about. And that's the one thing I hope that Disney doesn't lose sight of. Not that it all just started with a mouse, but I hope that Disney doesn't lose sight of that we want new content. We want all this stuff. And I'm very glad that we're getting it. But I also hope that they put on all the original material, all the classic material, all the behind the scenes of like with your host, Walt Disney, and how he took us behind the scenes of his films and the theme parks and how Disneyland got started by promoting it on ABC and how, you know, Epcot came about. Like everything of the Walt Disney Treasures DVDs. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They came like in those tin cases.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to see every single bit of that content on Disney Plus. The original Mickey Mouse Club. Is it Spin and Marty? I think it was called.
Well, actually, I think Spin and Marty's on there now, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's on there now. Yeah.
Okay, but like all that original content, you know, Zorro. Like I want to see, because I know Davy Crockett's on there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I mean, I love that traditional classic Disney that a lot of people don't really think about it, because when you think of Disney, you think of Mickey Mouse, you think of, you know, Pixar, and now you think of Star Wars and Marvel. But when you really think of Disney, are you really going to think back and say, oh, Zorro and Davy Crockett?
Right.
Or, you know, the Mickey Mouse Club, the original Annette Funicello, you know, are you really going to think of those people? I do, because I'm a diehard Disney fan.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, to the next generation, they're not going to. So I really hope that Disney doesn't lose sight where they could still put on. Because I was a little bit crushed when I was really looking forward to it was something that was supposed to be on Disney Plus back in May. It was something that,
Disneyland Goes to the World's Fair.
That's it.
Because I was waiting for the same thing and it didn't happen.
I was so looking forward to that, and I was like, oh, when that day comes, that's the first thing I'm watching. I'm putting it's like it never came.
Never came.
And it's like, what happened?
We got stood up.
Yeah, we did. It's like going on a date and you're just sitting there with your glass of wine and you're like just waiting for the person to show up. It's like,
they never show. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want to see that stuff, man. And even like the more modern classics, like the old school Disney Channel shows that we grew up with, like Dumbo Circus, Adventures in Wonderland, you know, Under the Umbrella Tree, things like that. I want to see that on Disney Plus. You know, you don't have to drop it all at once, but like trickle it in. You know, I want to see that stuff again. It brings me back to my childhood as a kid. I've watched a lot of that stuff. I want to see that stuff again. You know,
and honestly, I don't know if you ever had the time to watch it. Did you see The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World?
I didn't. I've been meaning to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet.
If you watch it, the one thing that this content has that nothing else has on Disney Plus is in between, they actually still kept the commercial breaks.
That's great.
For its original airing. So when you actually watch it, you're seeing the commercials that aired with it when it first premiered. And I thought that was so fantastic. So for me, I'm not even going to say when they put Dumbo Circus on, when they put Under the Umbrella Tree, when they put Adventures of Wonderland on, I want them to keep the original 80s and 90s Disney commercials in between it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would honestly it would be like just rewatching the original Disney Channel all over again.
All over again. Now, I got to ask you, because you're younger than I am, so I'm not sure if you were too young for this, but did you watch the Mickey Mouse Club in the 90s?
Yes.
MMC. You watched it?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I would love to see that on Disney Plus. I mean, I was a huge fan of that because I was that age group, that target demo at that time. But I miss that show. I would love to see that back on the Disney Channel. On Disney Plus.
I would actually like for them to make just a section just titled the Mickey Mouse Club, and they have the original 1950s Mickey Mouse Club, then they have the 70s, they have the 90s. Like, just have, like, all the generations of the Mickey Mouse Club on, and you can pick and choose and watch whatever you want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I was obsessed with that 90s Mickey Mouse Club. I bought the album. It had, I'm a big hip hop and rap person. I still am. And it had a lot of rap and hip hop in there. And I loved Carrie Russell at the time. I had a big crush on her. You too?
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that show was so awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Actually, it's funny because in like the early 90s, like 93 or 94, they did like a Target. They did like a partnership with Target, right? And
well, that definitely came full circle.
It came full circle, right? Exactly. And they had a partnership with Target, and they did concerts, like little mini concerts in Target parking lots. So my mom knew how obsessed I was with Mickey Mouse Club, and we actually found a local Target very close that was going to have the MMC, the Mickey Mouse Club, and they were going to perform, you know? So we went there, and that day it was raining. The one day in California, it freaking rains, right? It was raining, so they had to cancel the show, but all the MMC, all the Mouseketeers were there. So they actually arranged like a special like meet and greet. We can actually meet them and take a picture and what have you. It was pretty awesome. But I got a picture with Carrie and like, you know, Tony, Luca and all them. It was so much fun. But I love the cast of that era. I mean, that was, you know, I wish they'd bring it back.
Now you could actually look back at those photos and say, I got a picture taken before they were known as who they are now.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I was the same way too. It's like when I used to watch it, it's like nothing, don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with Brittany, nothing wrong with Christina, but I was like, where's Carrie? Bring on Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you on that. 100%. But you know, we'll see. Hopefully they bring that stuff to Disney Plus. I think there is a market for it. There's a lot of nostalgia now with 90s stuff, so you know,
and
maybe.
Especially that if they want to get as many subscribers as they want to, and especially even for the older crowd, the older generation, they're going to want to put that content on because that's how they can familiarize themselves with Disney.
Right. Exactly. So thank you, George. I appreciate you, buddy, for coming.